So I've just finished directing my very first documentary and it has changed everything for me. So we'll just pull back to how this came about. Matthew approached me late 2023, just after he got back from Europe, and he said he wanted to do this challenge of biking around Nelson in this competition over 6 days. All the other competitors would get a full support with helicopters, shuttles, you name it, whereas Matt wanted to do this human-powered. And human-powered to him was no support at all from the public, only himself to count on, and food stops along the way that he could use with his card. Initially, it was just going to be a YouTube video that would maybe go on one of his sponsors' YouTube channels, but it eventuated to so much more and opened so many doors. And what a journey it was to go from something potentially small to something far larger. And I don't think I've ever learned so much in the 6 months of doing this project than I ever have in my whole filming career. So it was about a week out and we only had a few sponsors on board and funding to back us, and it wasn't until a call about 4 days out that they were able to fully support us, which was Montreal, and that was just so awesome. It was such an exciting feeling to have them on board, and as soon as that call ended, I was straight on a call to Josh, who I really wanted to work with as my second shooter, who I did talk to previously about a couple of months prior, just to let him know, like, you know, would you be interested in being part of this? And fortunately, he was available.
Fucking wrecked. Oh, yo, I got a shot to show you actually. I forgot to format my card.
And we also had Henry Jaine, who was our photographer, who came on with Mons, and thankfully we had him because he knew Nelson like the back of his hand, and Josh and I had no idea, so we were going in blind, and we had maps that we were given and location points, but without Henry we wouldn't have been able to get to the prime locations to film Matt. So for this documentary, we just stuck with Sony A7S3s. We had two of them, myself with the main camera and Josh as B camera. We just stuck with Sony G Master glass. It was super lightweight, easy to get around. The Sony A7S3 is such a great sensor, same as the FX3 sensor, and shot everything in 10-bit log, 4K. Overall, the camera is just such a beast. Us as a team had to stick with Matthew the whole time. So we were with him in a chaser boat while he kayaked. That was treacherous actually. That was no easy feat. It got pretty rough there for a bit and pretty seasick. Then we obviously had to bike with Matthew up and down each stage on e-bikes, and then we had to follow him at night in our truck with the bikes on the back while he would change location and bike to the next stage. Overall, it was absolutely gnarly. I think we were up to 1 in the morning with Matthew every night, and he was up at like 6 or 7 and getting ready. And this kid's running off chocolate milk and burgers, literally. He is an absolute machine with what he consumes and does, so absolutely unreal. Once we'd gathered all the footage, I headed back to the studio in Christchurch and cut up sort of the best bits and put a real rough cut together. It got to the point where I was so burnt out from filming it, and we didn't have much time because we had one main goal, which was submitting the film to Banff, Mountain Film Festival in Canada. Thankfully, a director in Christchurch, Simon Waterhouse, reached out to myself and offered to give a bit of advice and take a look over it, and his advice was you need an editor, so you can take a step back and give a director's view. And we had a pretty ambitious goal, but we had an editor, a colorist, composer, sound mixer and graphics, and without those extra resources this film would not have been possible. And I am truly grateful for the whole team that came on board and helped make this happen. It was the first time I've ever worked with a range of post-production people, and I learned so much. I don't think I've ever learned so much in 6 months than I have in my whole filming career. Oh, Yeah, that's Emirates. That's what we call the bus home back to Scotland, which we're currently in Auckland, New Zealand. But that's pretty cool. So we'll just let that go by. But yeah, I had never worked with any of these outside resources before or navigated a team. But for me in my career, it's always learn as you go. You just put your head down and get on with it. And that's what has happened the whole time through this whole film. From funding to shooting to post-production to film festivals. I'd never entered a film festival before in my life. I had no idea what a DCP was. I had no idea what a press kit was. But these are the things that you just sort of, you hear and you're like, right, well, I better Google it and YouTube it. And that's what happened the whole time. A 6-month learning course almost in a way with this documentary, while still being able to create my vision and tell a story and follow Matthew, and it has been nothing short of amazing. So on my birthday, September 13th, 2024, we got an email and it said, you have been selected as a finalist for the Banff Mountain Film Festival for 2024. And at first I didn't even know what to say. I actually had to look at it a couple of times just to make sure it was real, and I literally had shivers through my whole body. I had never felt anything like this before or been, recognised for the work I'd been a part of and created. So it was quite an overwhelming feeling. So we flew over to Banff, and the story I want to tell first is that Matt's journey was no easy feat getting there. He arrived in Cancun airport coming from Guatemala, and he had multiple cancelled flights, so he had to get 4 separate flights to get to Banff, and he wasn't going to arrive till after midnight, so he'd missed the shuttle, so that was going to involve an Uber. So Matt arrives in Cancun, needs to get a taxi to change terminal, so he goes to the help desk, asks for help, and they say, hey, go out the door, grab a taxi. He grabs a taxi. Next minute he's driving down an alleyway and he is taken down a back street. 4 guys come out with masks, balaclavas over their heads. I'm pretty sure they had guns. I can't remember if they had guns, but he gets pulled out the taxi and all his gear gets thrown out and they're just demanding money, and he's got no idea, and his laptop and camera are still at the bottom of the bag, which for some reason they didn't take out, and they end up swiping all his cards just wanting money. So I think they took about 500 New Zealand dollars or about 1,000, and he gets thrown back in the taxi and dropped back at the airport. So some story and journey to get to Banff, and gets to Banff at midnight, jumps straight into bed, and then next minute we are on stage at 9 a.m. the next morning making our world premiere of our film for the first time. And I just thought, what a journey, and it just sums up the whole journey of this film. It has been one thing after another, just a constant challenge to get there. Pretty cool to have been up on stage even after Matthew going through that pretty scary time. It was really special to get a good applause and a few cheers, which was really, really special. And then, we spent the next couple of days just driving through the Rockies of Canada, and it was pretty special to see how beautiful that country is and make our way to Vancouver. We did a little screening in Whistler for the Montreal store opening, and then we made our way back to New Zealand, and that meant we could do our screenings in New Zealand. So we did a screening in Wānaka, Christchurch and Nelson, and the Christchurch screening was very special to us because we had all our close friends and family, friends that probably haven't seen for a while, that came along, and we had a small photo display wall and a drinks bar and a private cinema for, I think it was 72 people, and we did a private little Q&A at the end, and that was super, super special. And it sort of felt like all the hard work had really paid off as well. I think that was almost one of the top special moments, because being able to speak and present in front of friends and family and give back to their support, and it was really cool just to chat with friends and family and see how interested they were. And overall it's just been an awesome journey, and a project that I think Matt and I will remember forever. So that wraps up directing my first ever official documentary. A massive shout out to everyone who was a part of it, and I will link everyone below in the description who was a part of it. Thank you so much to the team. Thank you so much to our brands who supported us along the way. Thank you so much to Banff for hosting us, and thank you to Matthew for believing in me for capturing his journey. So that wraps out the first video of 2025. Leave a comment below if you want to know any more questions, and we will see you guys very soon in the next YouTube video. Right? Maybe we might as well go and jump in that pool now. See you guys.